We're talking land expropriation, and today we are asking the plain and simple question: should there be land expropriation without compensation in South Africa or not? Stay tuned. So first of all, remember to subscribe to this channel, like and share. Remember, this is part 3 of a series on land expropriation, and today we are just talking about the plain and simple question: should there be land expropriation without compensation or not? In previous episodes, we looked at the information around this. How does it work? How do you change the constitution? What is the Constitutional Review Committee? We also looked at the politics around land expropriation and how this relates to us and how this may affect the decision, and also the effectiveness of this program. So if you missed this and you first want to catch up, check out the links at the bottom of your screen right now and first watch episode or part 1 and part 2. Okay, so let's get down to business. I am not a historian, nor do I purport to be, so I did do a lot of research for this episode, and I'm just going to give you the basics. So just to give you a lowdown, check out this slide that I'm showing you now. In terms of history, there's no arguing about it, there's no getting around it. We have a really significant history in South Africa in terms of evolution. So the Khoisan has been reported as having been in Southern Africa up until 100,000 BC. So obviously there's been evolution and such, but they were the first ones here. No getting around that fact, they were first. In about 500 AD, we saw the Bantu expansion, and this saw Bantu-speaking people migrating from Central Africa and a lot in the Congo Basin down to the eastern and southern parts of Africa. And these included Zulu-speaking, Sepedi, Sotho, Tswana-speaking Ndebele people. And they all migrated and started that migration from about 500 AD. So all of us here in South Africa, except the Khoisan, it would seem, are immigrants. And then in the 1600s, we had the Dutch East India Company who set up their post here, which led to multiple wars over land in the 1700s. Fast forward, we have the 1800s where we saw the Boer Wars with the English, and also obviously the war or the Battle of Blood River with the Zulus. And then fast forward even more, we have the 1940s that saw the initiation of apartheid, which also led to a lot of land being taken away. And fast forward to where we are now, at this point in time, arguing about land expropriation without compensation. So it was really important for me to give you this breakdown in history. The reason for this is many people that argue as to whether there should or shouldn't be expropriation of land pin it down to the history and say that the land should be given to the people who originally owned the land and from who the land was taken away. Now, looking at this history as I have, and I promise you the numbers are all skewed in my head because I have been reading about this for the last week. And as far as I could tell, there was a lot of instances of land being taken away from a certain group and given to another, and then again being taken away and given to another. This going from the initial Bantu expansion in the 500 ADs who took land from the Khoisan, right through to the white immigrants taking land from the blacks, and then also the British taking land again from the Afrikaner white people, and then the whole changeover to apartheid. So it's been a hectic. Khoisan were here first, followed by the Bantu-speaking people who immigrated from the central parts of Africa. I think we can safely move on to say, right, given that there's a little bit of a complicated history with this, should there now still be land expropriation without compensation? Yes or no? Now let's look at the yays first. I'm going to argue both sides. Yes, there should be expropriation, and I'm going to argue, no, there shouldn't be expropriation. And then I want you to give me your views on my expressions and give me where you're at. Is it a yay for you or is it a nay for you? Okay, so yay, there should be land expropriation without compensation. We cannot get away from history. We cannot deny that apartheid happened. We cannot deny there was colonialization. We cannot deny the injustices of the past. That is clear. We also cannot deny that we have a functioning democracy and a constitution that many other countries are proud of, even on our behalf. So we have a lot to live up to and we have a lot to account for. And in terms of that, one could say that it is necessary to have land redistribution just to fix the inequalities of the past and to make sure that we all live the best lives that we possibly can live as equal citizens of this amazing rainbow nation. Now, should it be without compensation? And it's very difficult to answer this as a yay or a nay, because even just taking the hundreds of conversations about this, it really comes down to two things. Are we talking without compensation of all property, or are we talking property that's state-owned or property from private enterprises that are not being used at the moment? Because the argument goes, if it is state-owned property and property not being utilized, then yes, why not? We all should have land and our little place in the sun. If it is private property just being taken away and without compensation, then it should be a no. Those are the most popular debates I hear about the yay. Now, the other thing about voting yay for land expropriation is that I think it's important to say if we vote yes, we do it on the assumption that it will be done in an orderly fashion with a clear set out process of how it should be done, and where we can really literally see the positive effects of it and see the land being given back to those who were previously, whose land was previously taken away. And that's a large part for voting yay. If we go on to voting nay, it really comes down to how will this be done? So the first debate is it shouldn't be done because the Constitution tells us we all have a right to property and we all have a right not to be arbitrarily or we all have a right for our property to not be arbitrarily taken away from us. And therefore, our rights are protected in terms of the Constitution, and those people that own land, farmers that own land, their rights are protected in terms of the Constitution, and it would be unconstitutional to take away this land without compensation. So the other part of nay is how should it be done? Because it's not really clear if people that are supposed to be benefiting from this will indeed benefit. Do we really, given the history of the past couple of years of corruption, severe corruption, people suffering because of this corruption, want to put all of our trust in this process and just trust that these generalized 3 points are going to really have a positive impact and really see land being given to those who it was previously taken away from? But how will it be done? We are a country that celebrates uniqueness and diversity. We have 11 official languages. We have multiple cultural tribes. Who will be the first ones to benefit from this land expropriation? And the most important question for me is, who will decide who will be the first people to benefit from this land distribution? Who will decide what property is going to be used to be distributed? Who will decide which property is given to which group or to which individual, and how should it be utilized? The most important thing, how will we keep a record of this to see if the land is being used so as to sustain food security, etc.? How will we keep a record to ensure that the people who the land has been given to are in fact still the owners of this land and have the right to use this land, and it hasn't been taken away from them, stolen from them, etc. So you can see there are multiple logistical things that come into play that really worries me. So, do you think there should be land expropriation? Yes. Do you think there should be land expropriation? No. Do you think it should be with or without compensation? I've given you the views on yay. I've given you the views on nay. But as I know, because I do a lot of sessions on this all across South Africa, and I am always so grateful to learn new views on yes, why there should be expropriation, and new views on no, why there shouldn't be. So please share with me your comments. Educate me. Please educate me on new reasons and commentary for the yay and the nay. Thank you so much for engaging on this debate, and thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Next week we're talking about nationalization of private banks and private land, and what does that mean, and how will it affect our economy should that ever happen. So thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.